Paris, July 14th. Dawn bleeds red over the Seine. The air trembles with the echo of drums, boots, and the cry of 1,000 voices. In the heart of the storm, the tricolor flag unfurls. Blue, white, red, its fabric stained with rain and freedom. Smoke rises from the barricades. On a toppled stone, a woman stands barefoot, her dress torn by wind and fire. In one hand, she holds a torch, blazing against the smoke. In the other, a banner that trembles like a living heart. Her gaze is neither divine nor human. It is the gaze of awakening. Behind her, the crowd surges. Workers, poets, mothers, soldiers, their faces lit by the flame she bears. The wind calls her name, Marianne. She is not born of bloodline, nor crowned by kings. She is born of rage and light, the incarnation of the Republic's first breath. Her torch becomes the dawn itself, and her voice, carried by the storm, whispers through centuries. Freedom is not given, it is seized. How did a single woman, barefoot amid revolution, become the immortal face of France, the spirit of liberty itself? 1789, the bells of Paris toll like thunder. The Bastille falls, not only of stone, but of silence. And in the roar of revolution, something unseen is born. Not a flag, not a throne, but an idea with a heartbeat. The birth of a republic, the birth of a woman. The revolution devours kings, topples cathedrals of privilege, and demands a new god. Liberty. In the crowded halls of the National Assembly, philosophers and farmers speak of rights and reason. But it is on the streets, in the cries of widows, in the fists of peasants, that liberty becomes flesh. Artists, unable to sculpt abstraction, give her a face, a woman neither noble nor divine, her hair loose in the wind, her gaze unbroken. They call her Marianne, born of the people, bearing no crown but conviction. Delacroix and the fire of freedom. In 1830, Eugène Delacroix captures her, not as goddess, but as flame, liberty, leading the people. A painting, a prophecy. Barefoot upon the barricade, Marianne strides through smoke and gunfire, tricolor in hand, breasts bare to show she fears no bullet. Behind her, march men of every class, students, workers, dreamers, all equal beneath her torch. Delacroix's brush turns myth into memory. He does not paint one revolution, he paints the soul of them all. And in her eyes burns the fire that would later light both Paris and the world. She is not a woman, wrote a critic. She is the storm given form. 1848, the Republic finds its face. The years pass, empires rise and fall. But when France declares its second republic, the people choose not a king, not a saint, but Marianne to stand on their seal. In 1848, she becomes the official symbol of the French Republic. Engraved in marble, cast in bronze, her Phrygian cap glowing red like the sun of liberty. Yet she is no idol. She is a reminder that freedom wears no crown, and every citizen must bear a part of her burden. In every merry town hall, Her bust stands quietly on desks where lives are registered, marriages signed, and dreams made legal. There, liberty watches, not from heaven, but from the eyes of her people. The dawn of the Republic's spirit. From that day, Marianne ceased to be an image. She became faith.
Freedom
Her torch
is not
burned
given.
through centuries, across
It is
revolutions,
seized.
through empire, through war. When the tricolor rose again in 1944, it was her spirit that walked beside de Gaulle, her whisper that carried through the ruins. France lives because liberty breathes. She is not marble, not myth, but memory made eternal. The revolution may have ended in 1799, but Marianne never stopped marching. Wherever injustice returns, she lifts her torch again, and the world remembers the light that began in Paris. History is a furnace. Symbols, like nations, must pass through fire to prove their truth. For Marianne, the path from revolution to rebirth was written in ashes and anthem, empire and eclipse, the silence of liberty. After 1848, the Republic flickered. Napoleon III rose like a shadow over the tricolor, and the voice of Marianne, once thunder, became a whisper. Her statues were veiled, her face replaced by crowns. The dream of liberty trembled beneath the weight of empire. In colonial maps, France expanded, but in the hearts of her people, freedom shrank. Yet even in silence, she endured. Her Phrygian cap, hidden in attics, became the secret emblem of resistance whispered between poets and workers. She no longer ruled from the seal. She survived in the soul. "You can chain a flag," wrote Victor Hugo, "but you cannot chain the wind that made it fly." The Commune. Fire in the streets. Paris burns again, not in monarchy's name, but in the name of the people. On the barricades of the Paris Commune, Marianne returned, painted on banners, carved on rifles, shouted in dying breaths. She was no longer an allegory. She was vengeance, hope, and mother of rebellion. Through gunfire and grief, she became the face of the worker, the widow, the orphan, the eternal protest against forgetting. When the Commune fell, her image was torn down, but each shard of her statue became a seed. By the next century, Marianne had spread everywhere, into cafes, classrooms, and the corners of hearts that refused to kneel. Across the sea, the sister of liberty. In 1886, France gifted the world a second flame. The Statue of Liberty, Marianne reborn in colossal form, sailed across the Atlantic to New York Harbor. She carried not weapons, but a torch and a tablet, inscribed with the date of another revolution, July 4th, 1776. It was as if Marianne had crossed the ocean to remind humanity that freedom has no borders. To the French, she remained the mother. To the Americans, she became a sister. To the world, she became a promise. "She is not of France alone," said poet Paul Eluard. "She belongs to all who remember the light. War and resistance." The torch rekindled. 2 world wars turned Europe into twilight. In 1940, when the swastika rose over Paris, Marianne's statues were covered in black cloth, as if liberty herself were in mourning. But in London, Charles de Gaulle whispered to the exiled republic, "France is wounded, but she is not dead." And in that whisper, Marianne breathed again. Her torch, dimmed by occupation, was rekindled by the underground voices of resistance, by women smuggling messages under bread, by men carving her silhouette into the walls of prisons. When Paris was liberated in 1944, crowds flooded the Champs-Élysées, waving flags, weeping, shouting her name. The tricolor flew again, and in the flame of each streetlight, Marianne's face flickered, reborn in the glow of victory and grief. Post-war France. From revolution to reflection. After the wars, France searched for her soul. Colonies fell away. New nations rose. In Algeria, Vietnam, and Africa, the tricolor once carried as liberation became a banner of conflict. And Marianne, once a goddess of freedom, was forced to face her own reflection. Could liberty be true if others were bound beneath her name? The debates of the 20th century sculpted her anew. Artists softened her features. Philosophers questioned her purity. Feminists reclaimed her as a woman of voice, not symbol. No longer the barefoot muse of Delacroix. She became a citizen, aged by history, strengthened by contradiction. Liberty is not eternal youth, wrote Simone de Beauvoir. It is eternal vigilance, rebirth in the Republic's heart. By the dawn of the Fifth Republic, 1958, Marianne returned to every mairie, every courtroom, every school. Her visage, now sculpted after the faces of living women, Brigitte Bardot, Catherine Deneuve, Inès de la Fressange, each generation giving her new breath, new fire, new defiance. No longer marble alone. She became cinema, song, and speech. When French citizens marched in the streets for rights, her silhouette rose on their posters. When the world looked to Paris for hope, they still saw her torch shining above the storm. Marianne had become what every true symbol must become, a reflection that grows with the people who created her. The Republic may stumble, a poet once said, but as long as she walks with Marianne, she will never crawl. To understand Marianne, one must see beyond the marble. She is not a statue. She is a symphony of signs. Each curve, each color, each symbol carved into her form carries the voice of a nation's soul, a chorus born of blood, thought, and flame. Let us unveil her, layer by layer, as one would uncover the anatomy of an idea. The Phrygian cap, the flame of liberation. The red Phrygian cap, soft, simple, and ancient, crowns Marianne's head. It first appeared not in France, but in Rome, worn by freed slaves as a mark of emancipation. In the Revolution of 1789, it rose again, no longer the token of one man's freedom, but the banner of an entire people. When Marianne dons the Phrygian cap, she inherits the legacy of those who tore their chains. It is the sun of rebellion, soft yet burning. It does not glitter like a crown, for liberty is not about ruling, but refusing to kneel. The cap tilts slightly forward, as if she is always in motion, leaning into the future, never looking back. Her crown is not gold, wrote Michelet, but the warmth of blood that dared to dream, the olive and laurel, peace and victory entwined. Around Marianne, carved upon the coat of arms, two branches form a circle, olive and laurel. The olive, symbol of peace, the hand open after struggle. The laurel, crown of victory, the breath of triumph without arrogance. Together, they form the paradox of liberty, to fight fiercely and then forgive completely. The olive whispers of philosophy, the Enlightenment belief that reason can tame chaos. The laurel sings of revolution, the eternal truth that freedom must be defended again and again. When wind moves through these leaves, it is as if France herself exhales, a sigh of both pride and penance. Peace without justice is silence, they say. Victory without mercy is tyranny. Marianne holds both, for she knows that the Republic lives not in war nor surrender, but in balance. The letters RF, République Française, at the heart of the seal, etched in bold relief. RF, 2 letters, 2 centuries, countless revolutions. They are not decoration. They are the heartbeat of the Republic. R for République, the promise that sovereignty belongs to all. F for Française, the reminder that identity, once fractured by monarchy, is now bound by fraternity. Together, they form a cipher, not of state, but of shared duty. Every French citizen, from worker to president, serves beneath these initials. They do not glorify a ruler, they glorify relationship between the individual and the collective dream. RF, said a school teacher to her students, are not just letters. They are the breath you take when you speak of freedom, the light, philosophy made flesh. No other symbol glows as she does. Light is not painted on Marianne. It emanates from her. The glow across her forehead, the reflection in her eyes. It is the enlightenment
Every gaze renews
itself.
her. For
From Rousseau's Social Contract to Voltaire's razor wit, the light around Marianne is reason made visible.
She is light.
She embodies not
the
faith,
conscience made
but
visible.
thought, not obedience,
From a simple pen stroke,
but awakening.
the
Her
framework
torch,
of humanity's promise,
whether in hand
was
or
etched
imagined,
into history.
is the flame of the
Her
human
scales are
mind
not for judgment,
refusing
but for
darkness.
equilibrium.
It is the same
delicate
flame
art
that
of
crossed the
human
ocean
fairness.
to New York, the same that lit the streets of Paris in 1968. In art, light defines her.
Brotherhood is not
In
born of
philosophy, light
shared
defines
purpose.
France. Liberty,
Timeless embrace
wrote
of
Diderot,
different paths.
is the light that never blinds, only reveals. The posture, defiance in grace. Unlike gods or monarchs,
Her image
Marianne
inspires
stands
not
upright,
just imitation,
yet
but
unguarded.
interpretation,
Her shoulders bare,
a constant
a symbol
reimagining
not of
ideals.
sensuality, but of vulnerability
Liberty's
turned
whisper
into strength.
crosses borders,
Her gaze is
shaping
direct,
destinies
almost
far
challenging,
beyond its
as if
origins.
asking each viewer,
Here,
will
in
you
the
defend
quiet
me
spaces,
as I have
the truest
defended you?
dialogues
Her
begin.
outstretched arm,
Within
whether
oneself.
holding a flag or torch, is the Republic extending itself to all humanity. And yet, in her silence, there is warning. Liberty is never safe, only sacred. Every sculptor who shaped her left their own reflection. In stone, she carries their conviction. In bronze, their fatigue, in light their hope. Thus, Marianne is not static. She changes with the hands that sculpt her, the generations that look up to her. The coat of arms, a mirror of humanity. Behind Marianne's visage stands the coat of arms of France, where symbols converge into meaning, the fasces of justice, the oak of strength, the laurel of victory, the olive of peace. At its center gleams the monogram RF, encircled by gold, supported by harmony. Neither military nor divine, but human. The French emblem, like Marianne herself, is a paradox of elegance and resistance. It does not demand fear, it invites thought. Its power lies not in might, but in mind. The belief that liberty can be reasoned, that dignity can be designed. To look upon the Republic's seal, said a historian, is to see the dream of humankind, that justice may be beautiful, the soul beneath the symbols, eagle, serpent, cross, crown. The world has many emblems, but Marianne stands apart. She is not animal nor relic, not myth nor monarch. She is the idea of liberty made human. Through the Phrygian cap, she inherits rebellion. Through the olive, she offers peace. Through the laurel, she claims victory. Through the light, she teaches reason. In her stillness, she burns. In her silence, she speaks. In her fragility, she endures. Marianne, wrote Albert Camus, is not a woman of stone, but the heartbeat of those who refuse to surrender. In the end, a symbol lives only through its people. When marble meets heartbeat, when history meets breath, that is where Marianne walks again. She is not locked in the Élysée Palace, nor confined to the Republic's seal. She wanders through France, in coins, classrooms, cinema, and chants that rise from the streets. The currency of conviction, liberty in every hand. Look closely at a French euro coin. There she is, her Phrygian cap, her calm defiance, her gaze turned toward the horizon. Every exchange of money, every market, every gesture of trust carries the face of liberty. It is as if France reminds her children daily. Freedom is not a monument. It is something you touch, trade, and carry. In cafes of Marseille, in bakeries of Lyon, Marianne's profile gleams under fluorescent light, quietly watching as ordinary people buy bread, wine, and time. Liberty, once fought for in blood, now circulates in the rhythm of daily life. The classroom, where liberty learns to speak. Each morning, in every French school, students stand before the tricolor flag, beneath the motto carved on the wall, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. And there, beside the chalkboard, a bust of Marianne watches in silence, not sternly, but as a patient mother who knows that freedom must be taught, not inherited. Teachers speak of her not as goddess, but as guardian. Through the lessons of history, they teach her wounds, how liberty was betrayed, censored, reborn. In those young eyes, Marianne lives anew, not as marble, but as mirror. For liberty begins not in statues, but in sentences, in the act of daring to think aloud. "She looks at us," said one child in Rouen, "and I think she's asking if we will
She
be
leaves
brave
the
like
museum,
her." Cinema
not in
and the
footsteps,
streets.
but in
Marianne in motion. In
Liberty,
French cinema,
engraved in
Marianne
every gesture,
breathes
then
between frames.
passed from hand to
She
hand,
is the
like
smile
trust.
of Deneuve, the
She
rebellion of
listens as
Bardot,
children learn
the
the
conscience
alphabet
of
freedom,
Binoche.
not in marble.
Every generation
words.
finds her anew, not in palaces, but in
Freedom
faces.
is not
When
only a
crowds
banner term,
fill the
it is
boulevard,
the taste of work.
from May 1968
warmth.
to the marches for
Before her
equality
gaze
and justice,
lives
her
united,
image
for the
rises
Republic
again
blesses not
on
blood,
placards,
but
on
choice.
T-shirts, on
When her
murals
people
sprayed
walk,
across
she marches
concrete.
with them steadfast,
Sometimes
not
she
in
is
marble,
fierce, sometimes
but in
weary,
courage.
sometimes
She is
painted in
every
blue
accent,
tears,
every skin,
but always
every heartbeat
watching,
that dares to
walking,
say,
and
"Je suis
waiting.
libre."
She has marched beside workers,
spray and
stood
color,
with
she
students,
finds new breath
and
to
wept
breathe.
with
The
mothers.
Republic reborn
Every
in
protest
act of
chant that
creation.
begins with Liberté
Her
is a heartbeat of her name, the voice of the people. Liberty sings. From the Marseillaise to modern chanson, Marianne hums through French song. She is the whisper in Piaf's
Marianne has long
Hymne
stood
à
as the
l'amour,
enduring symbol
the
of our
cry
republic,
in
representing
Aznavour's
liberty,
La
reason,
Bohème,
and the strength of
the
the people.
roar in the stadium when the national anthem rises like thunder. Her melody shifts with the age, from the revolution's drums to the electric guitars of youth. But her refrain never fades. We are free because we remember the living spirit, a nation's mirror. In city halls and on euro coins, in art and in protest, Marianne does not reign. She reflects. She shows the French who they are and who they wish to be. Sometimes they see her proud, sometimes wounded,
For liberty,
sometimes
our spirits soar.
divided,
For equality, we stand
but
as one.
always
For fraternity,
alive.
forevermore.
She has no temple, for her altar is the heart of the Republic. No priest, for her believers are the citizens
Day
themselves.
fades,
When France
but
mourns,
liberty's flame
she lowers her
remains.
torch. When France
For even the
rises,
setting
she
sun
lifts it
carries her
again.
reflection.
And in her silence, one can almost hear her whisper, "Do not worship me, live me, the eternal citizen." Marianne does not belong to presidents, painters, or poets. She belongs to those who wake early and work late, to those
Her
who
torch
question
burns
and
now
create,
in pixels and
to
pulses.
every soul that
Freedom
refuses to be
translated
silent.
into light
She
once more.
is the eternal citizen, the embodiment of a people who chose reason over fear and dared to make light their law.
Day
In a
fades,
world
but
growing
liberty's
colder,
flame remains.
Marianne remains the warmth
For even the
that
setting
says
sun
liberty
carries her
still
reflection.
breathes. And so does France. The 21st century dawns over France, a century of light and shadow. Screens glow brighter than torches, voices rise faster than echoes, and the old ideals of liberty tremble beneath the pulse of a new world.
Her torch burns
Yet still,
now in pixels
in the
and
heart of
pulses.
every Mary,
Freedom
beneath
translated
glass
into
and
light
marble,
once more.
Marianne watches, a symbol reborn in a restless age. France stands at a crossroads, digital, diverse, divided. Politics fractures, cities surge, and yet across the noise, the tricolor still flutters like a heartbeat.
Hands change,
Marianne's face
tools
changes
change,
once again,
but the
no
breath
longer
shaping
painted by
her
Delacroix,
remains the
but
same.
rendered by cameras, 3D models, and
They
street
do
murals.
not know her name.
Sometimes she wears the features of an actress,
Her flame in
sometimes the anonymity of every woman. But her message remains: liberty must evolve or perish. She no longer
Art,
belongs to revolutions of muskets,
rebellion glow.
but to revolutions of
The
voice,
three mirrors
thought,
where France
and
still
courage.
sees her
When
soul.
women march
The
for
night
equality,
yields. And
when
once
youth
again,
flood the boulevards for the
torch
climate, when
becomes
citizens
the dawn.
chant Nous sommes libres, Marianne walks among them, unseen
Monuments fall,
but felt.
but the flame
I
of
am not
liberty
in the
endures.
past, she seems to whisper. I am in every act that resists despair. Art, memory, and the flame of conscience. In modern art, Marianne is both muse and mirror. Street artists draw her with eyes closed, not in defeat, but reflection. Photographers capture her cracked busts, half in ruin, half in rebirth, as if the Republic itself were learning to breathe again. In the Louvre's light and the metro's dust, in memorials to war and poems of peace, her presence lingers, the conscience of a nation too human to be perfect. Filmmakers reimagine her, writers debate her, citizens argue beneath her portrait, and in that very argument, she lives. Because liberty is not agreement. It is the right to disagree and remain one people. To honor Marianne, wrote philosopher Edgar Morin, is not to worship her silence, but to keep her questioning alive. The Republic in reflection. The Fifth Republic grows older, its promises tested by migration, inequality, and memory. The cry for liberté, égalité, fraternité is challenged, but never silenced. Marianne has learned to weep for the victims of terror, for the homeless, for those who seek France not by birth, but by belief. And yet, she also smiles. When the tricolor flies over Olympic stadiums, when schools recite the values of the Republic, when art, thought, and courage flourish again, her torch now burns not above thrones, but within citizens. It flickers in debate, in dissent, in dreams. Every time a French person
night
says, Je
yields
pense,
day.
donc je
And once
suis,
again,
Marianne
torch
breathes
becomes
anew
the dawn.
the eternal light. As evening falls
Empires
over
fade.
Paris, the lamps
Monuments
along the
fall.
Seine reflect
The
like
flame
a
of liberty
thousand tiny
endures.
torches.
From ancient
Somewhere
stone to
between
fresh
them,
clay,
in the
the
quiet
yearning for her
current,
form
the flame of Marianne
endures.
still moves. It is the same flame
the
lit in
innocent gaze of a
1789,
child,
passed
her
through
enduring
revolutions,
truth
wars,
is
and words.
rediscovered.
To those who still
She
believe that
rests not
liberty
only in grand
is a
halls,
living light,
but in the quiet
not a
corners of
finished
every
fire.
shared
She has
space.
walked through centuries of contradiction,
Her reflection
empire
travels with
and
us,
resistance,
a silent
oppression
companion
and
in
awakening.
the flow of time.
And still, she stands,
beyond all
calm
symbols.
and
Her
defiant,
truest light
her
shines
gaze
from within,
fixed not on
a
glory,
beacon against
but
the
on
dark.
the endless horizon
And
of
with every
justice.
new dawn,
As long as Marianne endures,
Paris
a poet once wrote,
breathes
France will never be conquered, for her
eternal
empire is not of
and
land,
unbound.
but of conscience.